Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I am your host, Hery Acosta. Happy Thursday, everybody. Let's get straight into this. Hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about Miles Turner for a little bit. Now, the comments that he was making, supposedly, he was talking about free agency, not the Pacers, when he said, I'm glad I can be somewhere where I'm appreciated. He's saying he meant that kind of like the Bucks were the team that gave him the best offer, somewhere that they actually wanted him to play there, rather than every other team that either didn't offer or kind of like the Pacers didn't give him the money that he wanted. But still, I just don't think the comments were in the best taste. Now, obviously, Pacers fans and a lot of people took it as he was, talking bad about the Pacers. And I still kind of think that's what he was doing. Now, he can say that it was all about free agency. I'm not 100% in agreement that that's actually the case, but I also can't read Miles Turner's mind. Now, it could have been a double meaning. Obviously, what he said, oh, I'm talking about free agency, but secretly, I'm also talking about the Pacers organization for not giving me the money that I wanted. I'm talking about the indie fans in general for booing me or wanting me traded. But the truth is, we stuck to his side for 10 years. We have been through him through trade rumors and everything, and just it's kind of wild that he decided to just jump ship for a few extra $1 million. I mean, yeah, obviously it's still a few $1 million more that he's making on another team, but you see people, he just gave up loyalty for a couple. It's hard to kind of decipher that just because it is a lot. Over 4 years, that's over $12 million, so that's still a lot of money. But the loyalty, in my opinion, should have lied of Indy, even though that we were offering him a good amount of money. Now, next we're going to talk about DeLon Wright. Now, DeLon Wright came out and said that joining Indy was a very easy decision. He said there really wasn't a decision to make. I was just playing golf. Now, that's definitely one way to look at it. I mean, obviously, a lot of teams weren't truly lining up to sign DeLon Wright, after he had a season with the Knicks. But the Pacers needed depth, and they want to see what he can do as a veteran presence, as a guard. Now, a guy who's been putting up, 5 to 6 points a game off the bench isn't awful, but it's definitely someone that's going to be towards the end of the rotation. If there's injuries, he's going to play. If there's, the team's down by a lot or up by a lot, he's going to play. But probably not someone that's really going to get a bunch of crazy minutes. And the rotation this year might look a little weird, just because I'm going to talk about Nesmith and Bradley here in a bit to see where they fit in. Obviously, Nesmith's different. Nesmith is, at the moment, a set starter, but you never know with the depth that we have if he goes back to the bench and someone gets pushed up. So I wish DeLon Wright a lot of luck. I think he should be on this team. I've talked about it. I think he shouldn't be cut. And I think we need that veteran presence. Obviously, we have McConnell, who's already the backup point guard. But we could use more veteran leadership, kind of like we had James Johnson. Obviously, DeLon Wright is not James Johnson. A whole different style of player. And now we just continue to have people that are always ready, that are on the bench ready to go out there whenever and just play their game. Now with Nesmith, his starting spot has been protected over the past season and a half. Whenever the Pacers changed their starting lineup, all the way back when we had Halliburton and when we first traded for Siakam, original starting lineup with Bruce Brown and Obi Toppin completely changed. Mathurin was also in the starting lineup, actually. So it completely changed. Nembhard became a starter. Nesmith became a starter. And then Siakam was traded here, so he right away jumped into the starting role. But Nesmith at first was one of our bench players. And then he just developed into a 3-and-D guy that you cannot keep out of the starting lineup. But now with the depth, with Mathurin being a full-time starter starting this year, will we see something like Mathurin go to the 3 and McConnell take a starting spot? I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think McConnell needs to be that energy off the bench. I don't think he should be starting. Now, obviously, he could be a great starter, but the way he brings that energy off the bench is just what we need. And the other person that could potentially fight with Neesmith for a starting spot would be Obi Toppin, but Toppin plays more of the 4 rather than the 3, and he's not as good of a defender. So I personally would keep Neesmith in my starting lineup. I don't think that they should mess around with the lineup as much. Now just really focus on that bench and that depth and just see who we need and who really is capable of being on this roster for next year. And that's going to bring me to Tony Bradley just because I think this is a very interesting one. Just because of injuries, because of Jackson being out, because of Wiseman being out and then being traded last season, Bradley joined the team after Jaleel Okafor didn't fully pan out. Bradley, during the regular season, wasn't getting any minutes. And that's what we had assumed. We thought he was just going to be there in case we needed a third-string center. But then the playoffs came. Thomas Bryant started struggling a little bit. And Tony Bradley started getting minutes. And in the conference finals, in the finals, he went from not touching the court pretty much ever in the regular season to big minutes in the postseason. But now he can go right back. He's going to end up going right back to either the end of the bench or to potentially being cut during training camp. I said last episode that I actually think he will be the cut candidate of the 3 between Wiseman, him, and DeLon Wright. Just because unless there's injuries, we don't really need a 4-center lineup. Especially when 2 of them might not even play. Because Wiseman's not even fully set to get minutes either. But Bradley in itself, I just don't see him being in the plans for the Pacers next season. Now, I'm going to root for him because I like Tony Bradley. I think he's a decent player. But he's just really not who the Pacers have needed. But, I mean, he's been there. He's played good. He did his thing in the playoffs. He did his thing in the finals. He stopped, really good at boxing out. Reason that players like Mitchell Robinson weren't really crashing the boards as much. Because whenever Robinson was going up against Turner, easy rebounds. But now, whenever he was going up against Bradley, it'd be a lot harder. Bradley would grab a rebound or box him out so one of our other players could grab a rebound. That's kind of what he was in for. Not the best free throw shooter. Good in the paint. If we needed him, he was there. So I'll root for Bradley. I don't think he's going to be on the roster next year, but if he is, congrats to him. But as always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go Sirs.